Hello, I'm Chef Charles Draghi, chef and owner of Erbaluce Restaurant in Bay Village in Boston. I'm out of the kitchen right now and behind the bar because I make some bitters that are a wonderful little concoction, little flavoring to add to drinks, also a little bit to food, little bitters and soda. It sounds horrible, bitters, like it's going to be an awful flavor, but it's actually a wonderful digestivo type of little aperitif for a meal. So this is an orange bitters. It's a sort of a classic combination. You can make it with pomegranate or a lot of different types of bitter fruit. The orange one I like. It's citrusy and beautiful and very floral. So we start with oranges, and what we're going to do is just take the skin and the pith off of the orange. Now normally when you cut an orange, what you're trying to do is peel it so that you get at the sweet fruit inside and you throw away the pith. We're going to do the opposite here. We're trying to get at the bitterness here, which actually is wonderful for digestion, but also has some really interesting sort of spicy flavors to it. So we're going to just cut the rind into little segments here. And we can do 3 oranges. So we're going to save all the pith. A little bit of the sweet fruit here is okay. That's going to add a little another dimension of the orange flavor. The pith will give you sort of a bitter nutty flavor. The juice here will give you a little bit of sweetness, and then the rind will give you a lot of the orange oil, which has a lot of sort of essential flavors. So I'm going to take the rind here. I'm going to take a nice big jar here. This is about like a gallon-sized jar, but whatever size jar that you have works out nicely. And put the orange peels right into there. And then I have some spices that I mixed up that I'm going to add to this. Now, bitters, each bitters company and each person who makes bitters has their own concoction. Right? It's sort of like a curry. Each family has their own recipe. So, without divulging my secret recipe, I use pretty much everything. We have some star anise, a little bit of allspice, cinnamon, nutmeg. And then, because it's an orange bitters, I like citrusy notes. So there's some coriander seed, there's some cardamom, a little bit of saffron is really good in there, some fennel seed. All of these I put on a plate and I put them in an oven just for a couple of minutes just to roast them so they heat up and the oils start to come out a little bit so that the flavors really start to leach out of the spices, and they'll go right into the bitters here. I also like to add some exotic flavors to it, some pink peppercorns, there's some juniper berries. You really want to load it up. You don't have to be too shy on spice or on herbs on this because you really want a lot of intense flavor. Many times bitters will be added as just a small splash, they'll say splash or a little pinch of bitters into a drink to give it just a little background flavor. And what happens is when the bitters hits a cocktail or even just some sparkling water, all the flavors really bloom out and you get the flavor of all the spices and herbs coming up in a really, really nice way. So we have this jar, lots of toasty spices in there and the orange. And then I have some fresh herbs from my garden, all different kinds. Lovage, angelica is one of the best herbs. There's some flowering marjoram, different kinds of mint, lemon balm. Most of these herbs I have dried. When you dry it, the water's removed and it concentrates the oils. So you get a really nice, almost smoky flavor of these herbs. So these dried herbs you throw in. There's some thyme in there, some sage, probably 2-3 different kinds of sage, purple basil, all kinds of wonderful things. And just load it right in, very simply. And then, to get different level of flavor of the same kind of herbs, I like to put in a little bit of fresh herbs. So whatever you have. And again, like with the spices, whatever herbs you really like. If you love basil and you love mint, you just load it right in. So everything's in here. It's all nice and loaded up. And now the fun part, vodka. Now what you use is the most neutral spirit that you can find that has a high alcohol, because that will extract all the flavors. If in your state you're able to buy pure grain alcohol, it'll work that much faster. Okay. And then we're going to close this up. And I've left a little bit of room, you can see there. And shake this up. And you can add some honey to this. Is always a nice thing as well. We'll give it a little bit of a sweet background flavor, but you don't want bitters to be too sweet because it's bitters. You want it to really have that flavor. Now that sort of the vodka has gotten around and coated everything, I'm just going to put a little bit of water to finish the top here. It will pull water from the orange and from the herbs a little bit into this, part of the flavoring. But you want just a little bit of water. It actually helps to increase the flavor as it sits. So this will sit. You can put this on a shelf. You can see how beautiful it is. Lots of different colors, lots of herbs, different colored spices, and the orange in it. And put that on a shelf for about 2 to 3 months. And then what you wind up with is something that looks like this. Not quite as colorful, but all the flavors have come out and are into the liquid. You can see that it's kind of floating around in there, a lot of the spices. And then you take this and just strain it through a little cheesecloth, and you wind up with an elixir that looks like that. There's a beautiful sort of golden orange hue to it. Really wonderful flavor, the orange peel, a little bit smoky, almost a caramel note to it, and then lots of layers and layers of spice and herbs and all that. So it's very simple. This, a splash into your favorite cocktail, really brings it up. It's great in Negronis. There's a million drinks you can make with it. I just love it with a twist of orange and some soda water.